Welcome to Interesting Enough. He is Trey. I am Nolan. Thank you guys for joining us once again. This is your first time listening to the podcast. Go ahead and do us a favor, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. We got a lot to get into. We actually thought it was going to be a dead week, Trey, but we got a lot of stuff to talk about. So how you feeling?
Man, I'm feeling good, man. How you feeling?
I'm good. I mean, we've been sad off of football. Basketball's back from the All-Star break, so we thought we were just going to really just talk basketball. We was going to actually bring JP and Jesse on, but we had a bunch of topics to get to, so we'll table them and we'll drop them in the next pod. But I think we were going to probably start with the court storming situation, and I want to get to that later. So people if you're previewing, we're going to talk about the court storming. We're going to talk about the NCAA football game. We got some other stuff to get into, but I opened up my phone Trey Sunday, and I see a humongous dude in one random fight, and I didn't know what was going on. And then I saw the caption, Cam Newton in a fight, and then I was confused. I'm like, well, why was somebody fighting Cam Newton? I know he usually does those youth football camps, and then I'm like, I thought it was fake at first, then it was real, and then I knew, actually, the reason why I knew it was real is because that hat didn't come off. That's the first reason I knew it real. That hat didn't come off for Cam. But then I was confused, and I'm still confused in the video, Trey. I watched it a bunch of times. I don't know who's fighting who. Was Cam actually breaking up a fight? Was somebody trying to fight him? I don't have any of the details. Did you get any more? Because I don't know even what's going on. Still to this day, I don't know what's happening.
Still don't have any details. Like, I just know he was at a 7-on-7, and he got in a big fight. But that's all I know. Like, I know as little as you do. Like, I don't know why he was in the fight. I've heard that it might have been some kids fighting him, but like they look kind of grown to be fighting. So like I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I was confused too. I heard it was maybe kids, but then I also heard like he was maybe like breaking up a fight, I guess, between two people.
I heard that too, but it didn't look like it. I heard that, but I was like, man, my eyes might be deceiving me, but this don't look like he breaking up nothing.
So it first didn't look like, I thought maybe with the first angle that I saw, and then there was another angle, like if you saw that one from the beginning of the fight,
Yep.
like all from the stairs, then it looked like somebody was swinging at Cam. So I was like, okay, he may not be breaking up a fight. And then I'm seeing Buddy in the white shirt come out of nowhere and try to throw a haymaker. I didn't know if he was just bad and he missed, or was he like on Cam's side?
I thought he was on Cam's side, like, because it looked like he wasn't really trying to swing at Cam, but maybe he just missed that bad. Like maybe he just sucks at like.
Okay, but at first I thought he missed that bad, but if you continue watching the rest of the video, when after he swings and misses and they throw him off him, he was kind of like looking mad and facing another dude trying to go after another dude while Cam was right next to him. So I was like,
yeah, he was kind of chilling off, like he wasn't like trying to swing back on Cam. So that's what made me think he was coming to help Cam.
Yeah, so that's why I was like, okay, that's the case. And then once I got that clarification, then I was like, oh, me and my homeboy got a fade if he missed that bad to hit me. I'm sorry. Like, what just happened?
But he didn't hit Cam though.
He didn't hit him?
I don't think he hit Cam.
Well, I know who he didn't hit. It was the opponent.
No. He didn't hit him either.
He missed that. I promise you, he missed that for sure.
But the real question is, why would you want to fight somebody that's 6'5", 250 that got hit for a living by men much bigger than you?
Okay, so we haven't seen the full story, so I'm sure we'll get details, like we've already prefaced.
I kind of feel like we're not.
You don't think we're ever going to get the details?
No, because we haven't heard anything yet. I feel like we were going to get details we would have known by now. That's just me.
Well, I mean, hell, Cam got 3 podcasts. I would hope he gets some details. I mean, what we got to do? I'm just saying, like, he talked about everything else. We got to hear him talk about game managers and game changers for 3 weeks, but we can't hear about what happened in the fight.
Hey, that was a game changer right there. Cam Newton was a game changer.
But I think a lot of people, like we've talked about with the celebrities, they think that celebrities won't do anything. I think that's the main thing. And usually I get it when they're like on the court or on the field and then you talk crazy. But it feels very odd to like even talk crazy to Cam or when he's that close. But I will say the one thing though, Trey, is we have seen the videos of these kids talking reckless to Cam Newton, which I don't agree with. I think that's super lame. And Cam is the adult. Now he's talked back with them, and gone back and forth. And I think for one of them, he was like, I probably shouldn't have stooped that low. But he obviously never crossed the line and like did anything because it wasn't that type of situation. So I really think people see those situations and think Cam is somebody that can be tried.
Yeah, they think it's sweet.
Now, I don't know if on a physical confrontation level, maybe they was just talking and maybe Cam said something or the guy said something. But either way, the point is it should have never got that far. I mean, we're just joking around, but in all seriousness, these camps that these people are throwing, that they're a lot of Cam is taking his time, and a lot of it is his money too, right? To to put on these camps and get exposure. And look, I don't want to be the guy that has to bring this up because I heard it already being brought up. But some of these other athletes that come by there, some of which don't look like Cam Newton, they don't get tried like this. It's a peaceful environment, a peaceful event, and it's like it just kind of makes our community look bad.
No, I think it's different too, though, because I know what you're trying to reference, but them other athletes that don't look like Cam aren't going to those same places as Cam either. Look, say what you want. If you and I, we hold a camp in Beverly Hills, or we hold a camp in Opelika, Florida, we're gonna get two totally different outcomes. Like, let's just be honest, we are.
But to be honest with you, I don't even know if that's the case, because I just feel like it also still depends on who it actually is. I just feel like part of what makes Cam Newton endearing to people like us that were fans of him growing up, he feels like super relatable, right? Not just because he looks like us, but he acts like us, he talks like us, and he doesn't seem like he takes himself onto too high of a standard, like he's on this pedestal that can't be touched. Like, remember we were talking about, I don't know if it was you I was talking about, but you see certain celebrities and you're like, oh man, they'd be really cool to get a beer with and stuff like that, or just
I remember talking about
but
that.
Then you see other celebrities, like, and I'm just using this as an example, like Beyonce, it might be the most down to earth, sister ever, but you wouldn't be able to tell that because of how she carries herself. When she walks in a room, she's sucking up all the energy out of a room. You know what I mean? Like, that's just how she carries herself. She carries herself like the queen, and that's her persona. And that's just what it is. Cam doesn't really carry himself like that. He carries himself like a regular dude, for the exception that he's just super talented, super rich, and super huge, right? So, like, that's the only difference with Cam. And I think that's the difference in why people maybe feel comfortable doing or treating him in the way that they have been treating him in the past.
But like I said, I think a lot of it just did. Okay, I'm going to use this for an example. Let's say we take out Cam Newton, we put Lamar Jackson in his place, because I feel like Lamar is just as relatable as Cam Newton. Do you think they're talking and, treating Lamar like we've seen them treat Cam on video? Do you think they're doing that?
I got a better question. In those situations previously, not the fight situation, but in the old Cam videos, is Lamar bantering back and forth?
He's not, but I mean...
And I'm not blaming Cam. I'm just bringing that up just to bring it up. You know what I mean?
He's not. I'm gonna give him credit for it. He's gonna, man, whatever, and move along. But at the same time, I guess what I'm saying is, why even start that? Like, I just feel like if he was in a different area, they wouldn't even start it, which is a whole nother discussion. I don't want to even touch that. But I'm just saying, I don't even think we would have got to that situation. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think Cam and Lamar have two different personalities, even in terms of. Listen, when Cam does stuff on the football field and even off it, like, Cam is very confident. He's going to talk that talk. That's just what Cam Newton has always done. And I don't think it ever crosses the line. I'm just saying that's the type of athlete he is, which he's not unlike any other successful athletes. Lamar is more on the humble side of those athletes, right? Where he's performing great, but he's really always deflecting. Like, he put it this way. Cam Newton seems to really crave on attention and like attention a lot throughout his NFL career. Lamar Jackson doesn't really ever feel that way, right? Agreed or disagree?
I agree.
So I think because of that, I think that would be the main difference. And again, I don't even like to even say all that, because it feels like you're blaming Cam. Like, no, we're not blaming Cam here. Like, whatever happened, unless Cam just called somebody out their name or swung on somebody first, which we didn't see him swing on anybody first, those kids or those parents or whoever it was in the wrong. But going forward, what is, I guess I don't know if you were touching on something, but going forward, Cam's going to continue to do these camps, Trey. You don't think he is? Maybe not that location.
I'm just saying, I wouldn't. I would love the idea to keep doing the camp just because you're helping the community, and I love that aspect of it. But it's also, the other issue is, listen, let's just be honest. You can mess around and get hurt at one of these camps because somebody, if they feel like you're going to fight them, next time they're going to bring a gun. Like, let's just be real about it. Or two, you're just going to end up in legal trouble because somebody's going to sue you, or they're going to call the police on you. And you being a 6'5", 250-pound guy, you're going to be the one that's getting in trouble. With you being a millionaire, you're going to be the one that's getting sued. So I just feel like there might be some reasons why he wouldn't do it, and I wouldn't be surprised if he stopped.
Well, we're going to have to wait and see. I mean, I definitely want to hear the explanation from Cam if we do get one. I think we're going to get some sort of explanation. I just think, and if it isn't from Cam, Trey, some parent is going to talk, some kid, you know what I mean? Like, somebody's going to say something. Whether it's right,
that's what I thought, but we haven't heard it yet. We haven't heard it yet, so that's what I'm kind of like, are they going to say anything?
It's only been a couple days. Maybe people are being advised by lawyers. Maybe there's, like, you know what I mean? I don't know. Who knows what's happening in behind the scenes?
Yeah, that is true.
So we'll see how that goes. But let's talk about some other stuff while we're here. I did want to. We're on the topic of college. With Cam being a college legend. Guess that wasn't that smooth of a transition, but I want to talk about college court storming. We saw Kyle, and for those who didn't see, Duke lost a good game to Wake Forest. It was an upset. Most fans usually storm the court when it's an upset, and that's been a big part of college sports, as we've seen. And we have had injuries happen in the past, and people have complained. Notably, Caitlin Clark, who was the biggest star and maybe almost in sports just recently. Hers wasn't that serious, but she complained about it. She got hurt. Now Kyle Filipowski looks like he sprained his knee or ankle, who's the best player on Duke's basketball team. Everyone has probably seen the clip by now. I think I could really go either way on this, but I wanted to really toss it to you. I'm not going to ask you what you think like is going to happen because we know it's probably not going to change. But what do you think should happen in terms of the court storming situation? Because we have complained about this before.
We have complained about it, but I honestly think you probably should keep it just because it's one of the aspects that just keeps the collegiate game a little bit different from the professional games. It's one of the aspects that I think a lot of people, when they talk about the collegiate game as opposed to the pros, whether or not it's college basketball or college football, they always mention the atmosphere. They always mention the student section. They always mention the environment. And I feel like if you just ban, court stormings or field stormings altogether, I feel like it's just going to really take away from the collegiate aspect of it all. I mean, you already have NIL involved, and not to get too sidetracked, but I mean, just with that being involved, like that is already kind of feeling like a semi-pro league. And if you stop the court stormings, I just feel like the environment is a little bit different. I don't feel like it's as electric as it has been. But with that being said, I will say that I think that any instance where they know a court storming might be happening and the team, let's just say, is up 15. I know this was in this case, but let's just say Wake Forest having to be up 15. I think the other team would be best by just going ahead and sending their starters into the locker room and having their players, sitting on their side of the court so they could just run straight to the locker room once the buzzer sounds off.
Wait, hold on. You can't Trey. You just so the starters can be in safe, and but the other dudes can be in harm's way.
Hey, that's why I said they need to be in the other side of the court so they can just run straight to the locker room.
Hey, hold up, bro. No, that's crazy. You just sacrificing. You really just said, "Oh, listen, we can't afford for the star players to get hurt, but y'all walk-ons, hey, y'all fend for yourselves." Nah,
Hey,
come on,
listen, I'm
man.
being pragmatic about it. Like, I listen, my
That's
job
messed up.
isn't
You
tied to the
can't you
walk
can't
ons.
alienate a team like that.
They walk ons.
They're still human beings.
Okay.
Okay, but here's my rebuttal to this. I completely disagree. The court storming is not going to take away any part of the fandom of college basketball, or in this case, college sports. The Cameron crazies and all these crazy fans, they're still going to do the same things they do and paint their face and paint their stomachs and be crazy and loud during the games. The court storming is just the last part of it. Court storming is something like obviously we've seen on TV. We just dramatize it and put it on TV as a part of like for these recruiting pitches. We don't have to have it. Like people go storming these streets after people win Super Bowls and big games all the time. It doesn't have to happen on the court, right? Like it doesn't have to happen on the court. That is unnecessary to have these guys in a position where they can be hurt just because some fans don't want to show any restraint. Like because the NBA doesn't do it. I know you said it's a different sport, and I get it, but they need to have security at these things. That way, these guys can get off the court at least before it's going to be storming. Now, I will mention one thing. I'm not blaming Kyle Filipowski, Trey. I'm not blaming him. I want to let that be clear. I also will, in the same breath, say he didn't look like he was rushing off that court. Like, he didn't look like he was rushing off that court, and he knew that the storming was about to happen. Like you kind of know you got to hustle at the court, and you know what, Trey? I wouldn't have blamed him if he would have did the Larry Bird and start swinging on folks and pushing folks out the way to get out the way.
I
Do
don't
what
think
you
he could
got
have
to
did
do.
that, but he could have held the elbow out. He could have hit him with the chicken wing.
No. Like at that point, I'm like protect myself. Y'all running full speed. Y'all gonna get some work. Like that's on y'all. Because no one's telling you have to run out here to do this. He's a college student, just the same age as those dudes too. They're all kids. Like no, y'all getting work. Like y'all getting work. If y'all want to run out here, it's gonna be some consequences out here. Like I'm 6'10", y'all about to get the business. Period.
I get it, but my thing is too, like, And that's why I would have put the arm out of the elbow out. I would have hit him with a chicken wing. I don't think he had to, I don't think he necessarily had to fight him. But like you said, he wasn't really rushing off the court. And then also when I watched the video, I'm like, I mean, listen, I know he's a big guy, he's tired, he's lumbering around, but I'm like, it does look like you could have sidestepped him a little bit. Like you kind of just ran straight into the man as well. Like if this
Well,
was a car crash, it's
he
fifty
was
fifty
walking as if
responsibility.
well, he was walking like as if you would just walk off a regular court when nobody was storming. That's
That's
my
my
whole
point.
thing.
And then he wasn't trying to sidestep. I'm like,
Right.
listen, if this is a car accident, like you said, it's 50% liability. Like I feel like you own a little bit of this too.
So the only reason he doesn't get any blame is because he has a right to be on the court, and
He
that's
does.
what it is. So that's what I'm saying. No matter if he was walking fast or slow, it's his right. They should just eliminate court storm altogether. It doesn't even make sense to court storm. Who cares? It's just an unnecessary risk. Just so we could put on TV for 10 seconds that the people storm the court. You guys can storm the Broad Street or whatever the main street is, like everybody else does after these big games, and the fandom would be just fine. But storming the court in this day and age, it's such an unnecessary risk for injuries. Doesn't even make sense. And
I mean, it
look,
looks cool. But I mean, I've never
no, it
done it,
doesn't.
but it
It
looks
doesn't even
cool.
look that cool. No, it
No, it
doesn't.
look hold on. It looks cool when I was younger. Like at this point, I'm just like, ugh, that just seems like a lot of
Okay,
running on my legs. But when I
right.
was younger, I should say that it looks cool. It looked cool.
But well, listen. I think they should like give like I heard Jay Bill talk about give these people citations so they can end it. I think they should end the court storm. The court storming thing is just it doesn't even make sense. It doesn't outweigh the risk is what I'm saying. And it's not even about Kyle Filipowski getting hurt being a star player. Just any player, any
It
member
happened to
of the
Caitlin Clark
team.
earlier.
Well, yeah, but I don't even care who the player is. It's just an unnecessary risk to have that stuff happen. And by the way, also students rushing the court have also gotten hurt too, right, in the past. It's like not just the
Yeah.
players. So like, it just feels like an unnecessary risk to be like going on. But at the end of the day, this has all been a great conversation, but the NCAA ain't gonna change it, and we know it. Like we know they're not gonna change it. That's the unfortunate part. Because the conundrum is for the NCAA, they don't value these players as like their own separate entities and stuff, right? Like in terms of money. Because if they
What
were like, let's say they were paying them like actual contracts, like they should be at this point, they would have security and do the NBA thing and not let it happen because they'd be trying to protect that product.
Well, I'm gonna
Like,
say this in the SEC's case, at least they try to ban it. Like you get $100,000 fine each
oh
time you
yeah,
do it.
like those multi-billion-dollar universities care about $100,000.
Yeah, they don't, but I'm just saying at least they're doing a little something. That's all I'm going to put my
That
2 cents in.
that little something is a waste of my time. Like it's literally it's honestly disrespectful that they put that amount that little because they know that those universities won't care. Like you know what I mean? They're just gonna pay it happily. You think Forest cares? Here's a hundred
Oh no,
thousand.
they don't. I'm just yeah, I know they don't. I
So
agree with
that
you.
and again, I think this is just a bigger conversation. You know how we feel about the NCAA. So I think this is a bigger conversation with the NCAA. I wish they would change it, but I
Well,
know
they
they're
can't do
not.
nothing because they don't have any power right now. So it's over with.
Yeah, it's basically over. So some point. But speaking of the NCAA, we got to talk about the game. We're excited about NCAA football 24 to come out July 12th. I can't wait for the game. I know you can't wait for the game. All of our mutual friends cannot wait for the game. We talked about this a little bit. We wanted to see if they were going to get all the players on there and what they were going to do. So it's come out. Each player they divvied up the money, and it ends up being $600 to every NCAA player that opts to get to play in the game, or excuse me, to put their name and likeness in the game, plus the copy of the game. So they made sure to include that. Now on the surface, everyone was upset about the $600. And it is a little bit of a low number. I see how they got to that number. They broke it down with the revenue XYZ. You can kind of Google all that yourself. But I want to ask you, Trey, if you were one of those athletes, and let me throw it to you this way, because for people that don't know, the large majority of these NIL money, don't get it twisted. Like these guys aren't really breaking bread like you think. It's really the star players and the star guys. The rest of these guys aren't really making that much money. So I know to them you'd be like, oh yeah, Caleb Williams might not care about $600, but the backup, lineman may or something like that. So just to put it in perspective, if you're one of those guys, Trey, not a star athlete, just a college athlete, what is your reaction if you were to get that? And you were to like, hey, this was presented to you. Do you take it? Do you not? What's your thought process behind
Oh
it?
yeah, man, I take it. That's $600, and I'm on a video game like for the rest of my life. As
Right,
long as I
right.
play
Yep.
NCAA 25, I'm gonna be in that game. So like, I'm gonna take it. But if I'm Caleb Williams, if I'm Shadur Sanders, or whomever, like a star athlete, my thought process is, okay, I might do it once, but that second year, you have to pay me more than $600. And if you don't, well, hey, I'm in one video game. I'll call it a day. I'll be in Madden, so don't worry about it.
let me throw it to you this way though. If you're Shadur Sanders or Caleb Williams, and we're using these guys as an example, there's a bunch of other guys, Bronny, James, whatever. They're also kids that think it's cool to be in a video game, right? Like no matter the price, they would think it's cool. Maybe they just are like, I don't really care about the money. I just want to be in the video game. What do you think about in that respect too? Because like they're not as hungry for the money because they're getting money in so many other places. Is my point.
Like I said, I'd be cool with that for 1 year, but you ain't finna do that for me like for 2 or 3 years.
But they may not care. They're already making a bunch of money. Who cares? I'm playing devil's advocate. Like if you're making that much money, I can be in the video game every year and play with myself in the video game. That may be more
Like I
important
said,
to
I'll
you.
play I'll do that when I get Madden. When I'm in Madden, fine. I'll be in Madden for the next 10 years, so don't worry about it. But NCAA,
Yeah.
you're going to pay me a little bit more because if you think about it, I know Madden makes a lot more money, but I remember Darren Bates. He said, like, and this was about 5 or 6 years ago. He said Madden was cutting a check for $20,000 for each player that was in it.
Wow. Yeah.
Now,
I mean,
granted, there's less teams, so less players overall. So, like, I'm agreeing with all that, but I'm just saying, like,
right.
I'll worry about that when Madden comes around. But yeah, NCAA, nah, yeah, I do that for 1 year, but you have to pay me a little bit more.
And I wanted to mention this as well. With NCAA, I feel like we were going to be upset at whatever amount came out because like what would actually be
You could have
like
given me a stat.
we're
You
we're
would have
talking
been
a
upset.
$400 difference. Like now we're
No,
just
no,
talking
no.
about the aesthetics
But
of
it
it at that
sounds
point.
better. I know it's only $400 difference, but it sounds better. You gave me a thou wow. Okay, fine. I could work with that. You gave me
So
$600. I could barely buy a PS5 with $600, Nolan. I'm not even sure if I can with tax. Like legitimately, I'm not even sure I can.
yeah, you may not. You definitely not getting a bundle. I tell you that.
Yeah, so like, yeah, no, 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 no. You gotta throw me you gotta throw me 1,000 at least.
I don't know. I feel like at that point we're nitpicking, like because they have so many schools now. The thing I am upset about, I know you wanted to talk about this, Trey. I know we can't get our HBCUs and them squads on there. That was kind of
Man, I'm
disappointing.
disappointed. But like I said, we haven't had HBCUs in NCAA when it was coming out since NCAA 2003. So like
Yeah.
it's just one of them things that's going to create more work. Most people are not going to play with those players. And if they did bring the HBCUs out, they only going to pay them $100.
Don't do them like that.
You know.
Don't do them like that. Don't do them like that, man.
Yeah, Nolan. Hey, man, they better be happy to get 100. That's what that's the mentality going to be.
Okay, my last question for this is: I'm sure for you, it really has no effect on how you feel about the game coming out, right? Because does it change anything? Because I know some people were feeling kind of slimy about it.
It doesn't change. I would say
Okay.
this. As long when I found out Miami was in it, because all 134 FBS schools are in it, I was fine. But let's just say for whatever reason they weren't able to make a deal with Miami, then I would have been totally out. I wouldn't have got it because I'm like,
But like we said, that was never going to happen. I
it
mean,
wasn't. But I'm just saying for whatever
yeah,
reason, like let's say they just can't get a deal with them. That's when I would have been out. That's all I was trying to make a point of. It didn't bother me as long as I had another team I could play with. My two teams, FAMU and Miami.
right,
They're both
right, right.
even with me. As long as I got one of them, I'm fine. But if I don't have either one of them, man, I don't even care about NCAA.
You wouldn't have even played
You know, I'm I wouldn't have bought it. I mean, one of my homeboys got it. I would have played against them, but that's about
it.
it.
You'd have played it at somebody else's house, but you wouldn't have really. Okay.
Oh yeah, yeah. It'd have been one of the things. Like, oh, you got it? Okay, cool. I played at your crib, but like I ain't buying it.
Off principle, I feel it. I feel it. I feel.
I'm not
Okay,
gonna
so
play it.
yeah, I mean, so also too, I've been hearing a lot about this on the internet. Trey, we got to temper our expectations on the game. I know we haven't had this game, and I'm not talking about you. I'm just talking about I've heard a lot of the rhetoric online. I mean, it's been forever, and since we had this game, let me point out, all of us that really want this game, our memories of this game is a lot bigger to us because we were in adolescence and we were in our childhood growing up. We are grown adults with jobs and 401ks and responsibilities. Some people have wives and kids. The game ain't gonna feel the same, everyone. I don't care
It's not.
what they do to the game. Just because of your life circumstance is different. But that is okay. By the way, most of us adults, we ain't even gonna be as good at the game as we used to. We don't got that much time to be grinding like we used to. You know what I'm saying? So that is okay as well too. So I just want to temper everybody's expectations. I'm gonna be grateful that the game is even here, and just hearing the sounds of these announcers Obviously, I'm gonna miss Lee Corso. Honestly, Trav, it would have been cool if they would have had Gus Johnson and Joe Klatt. I thought they did pretty good the last couple years, personally. But just hearing Kirk Herbstreit and Fowler and those guys again, it's just gonna feel nostalgic just playing the game. And I know we've complained about Madden. I just hope it ain't everything like Madden. I want it to feel like that college football game. You know what I'm saying? That's all I'm asking for.
Yeah, I wanted that to be a total rescan. Like I wanted to feel like it's a new game.
Right.
Like I said, I'm not gonna let nostalgia get me caught up. I know it's gonna be different. Like you said, I think you brought up a good point. We're in different stages of our life. Like we damn near 30. Like it's not gonna feel the
Right.
same,
It's not
man.
gonna feel the same. Yeah. Right.
It's not. But like I'm gonna enjoy this new experience. And then once somebody just one, I probably won't buy it for another 3 or 4 years. It'll be one of those kind of things.
Yeah, I don't know if I'll continually buy it too. You made a good point because I thought about that too. I'm like, let me see how this one goes, and then like we'll kind of go from there.
Man, I don't continually buy Madden. The only game I continually buy is 2K, and I have my thoughts about that.
You have your thoughts about it. I know. But before we get out of here, Trey, because we just been talking about college a lot, I wanted to bring this up real quick. I saw Kurt Warner. He had a tweet, and he was talking about how hard it is to evaluate these quarterbacks that are coming out of college. And I'm gonna just read one of the tweets, and then I'll kind of just get your thoughts on it. So this is Kurt Warner, Hall of Fame quarterback. For those who don't know, I know many of you love college football, but as I start to dive into these college quarterbacks, it's hard for me to even watch. Very few play on schedule. The past concepts are a mess most of the time. They run the same play over and over, a million bubble screens, which I can attest to. Can't find many concepts that translate to the next level. And then people are asked how to figure out how good they will be at the next level. And he says it's nearly impossible in his mind. Then he later, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but he later ended up using CJ Stroud as an example. He said CJ Stroud was really good in college. They ran pro concepts. But he said he didn't have any idea how good he would be at processing because he wasn't asked to do that, in his last year at Ohio State. So I wanted to I know Trey, I mean, I love college football, but probably obviously not as much as you. You're tapped in way more than me. What's your thoughts on that overall? Because I just feel like drafting quarterbacks is like the hardest thing to do. It's like such a crapshoot, and we see a bunch of misses. And it's not like all these guys are just bad at evaluating, right? Like this just happens. But how do we evaluate the game at the same time? Because what used to happen is, and I know it's a long-winded question, but for people that are listening, the games have adapted. We used to have the NFL game used to look one way, and then college used to look another. But then NFL used to started taking college concepts and bringing them to the NFL to like help, RG3 and these guys like assimilate faster. That's how we got the read option. So like because it's like all intertwined, you're getting college coaches going to the NFL and vice versa. It's hard to really tell. So I maybe my question is, how do we tell better? And I don't even know if you have an answer to that, or how do we just really solve some of this issue? Because it seems like to be an issue recurring every single year.
I mean, to me, it's just a crapshoot. Like it's always been like that, and it's
Yeah.
no different. And the thing I always tend to lean to is how good were they in college? Like you can say, oh, people wanted Lamar Jackson to be a running back, so like people were surprised how good he was in the NFL, but he won a Heisman in college. He was great in college.
Right.
Justin Herbert, he was good in college. Like that was no surprise. Joe Burrow was good in college. Hell, even Patrick Mahomes was good in college. Now he didn't look anything like the Patrick Mahomes that we see now. Like, no, of course, we didn't see this kind of greatness coming. But still, my point remains the same. He was good in college. But it seems like a lot of those times, the quarterbacks we missed on, like Mitch Trubisky, we're saying they have a lot of potential, but he really wasn't the greatest thing in college. What's another one I could think of?
So you
Kenny
think it? So
Pickett.
you're think so
He
you're
wasn't the greatest in college. Like he had an okay, he had a decent career, but he wasn't great in college.
okay. So here's I just want to chime in on this part real quick. The problem to me is it's not an exact science because like we've seen guys that like at first I used to think like it was a size thing, right? But then now we've seen smaller guys going. Then it's like, oh, athletic guys. And we've seen athletic guys not be good. Then it's like the arm strength. Then that hasn't really been a thing all the time. And then you get like, oh, you can't get a guy from Ohio State, Alabama, all these schools. And then CJ Stroud's turning that label. Whatever you think about Tua, he's been relatively successful in the NFL, right? So like you see guys, and then you're like, oh, it's got to be the small school guys. Then we draft Zach Wilson, and then look how that works. You know what I'm saying? So it's like that's the thing that's hard to me. It's not an exact science. And the biggest part here's the biggest thing I care about as a quarterback, Trey, when evaluating these guys. First of all, I'm not really a big fan of the combine. Like, we're going to have combine superstars. And listen, I mean, I got my thoughts about having a bunch of guys that look like me standing up on a scale while everybody rates our body. It feels very, if you catch my drift. So What I think about the quarterbacks is this: when I turn on the tape, what did you do on 3rd and 13 in the third quarter on the road in a conference game when you needed that first down and your receiver ran the wrong route and your lineman missed a block? Like, what do you do in that situation? Do you throw the ball away? Do you make an incredible throw? Do you buy yourself time to make an incredible throw? Do you scramble, or do you just take a sack, or do you just throw an errant throw? Do you fumble? Like, I want to see what the guys do in adversity. Like, that's the biggest thing that I can see that closely kind of translates. Because even when we watch the NFL, Trey, what has my complaint been with Tua? I'm like, I love Tua. When everything's on schedule, everything's good. But my problem with Tua is 3rd and 13 and stuff gets tough. He kind of forgets he's Tua and he tries to turn into Josh Allen, but then he doesn't have Josh Allen talent. And then it just like becomes a different situation. Like sometimes they're like a guy playing not within himself. And even though I credit Patrick Mahomes now for a guy that has all his talent, look how well he plays under pressure when he knows if this was 3 years ago, Patrick Mahomes, he's trying to make an incredible throw in a situation and maybe put the ball in harm's way. Now he just kind of like doesn't panic, throws the ball away if he needs to, just makes the right play. So how do we know that? And Patrick Mahomes wasn't like that coming out of college. So how do we know if a guy is going to process information and learn over time to become this thing? Like, how can we project potential? It's just so hard to
You
me.
don't, because let's say use Zach Wilson for example. A lot of people were skeptical about him because he didn't have the greatest year personally at BYU. I know they had a pretty good record, but when you saw him, you saw a lot of flaws, but people thought there was a lot of potential there. Where you take somebody like Josh Allen, where he was playing at Wyoming and nobody's really paying attention to him, and he still had a lot of flaws, but there was a lot of potential. And here and behold, he was able to maximize that potential in the league.
Right.
It's just it's a crapshoot. It's just some guys are going to maximize it, some are not. I think a lot of it has to do too with coaching, though, because I think you always bring up a great point when we're discussing Josh Allen. Is like he had Brian Dable, who seems to be like a QB whisperer, at least when he was working as an OC and
Yeah.
as a quarterback coach. And what if he didn't have Brian Dable? Then what is his trajectory look like? And I think like we kind of look at Zach Wilson. It's like, what if he didn't go to New York Jets? And what if he had a veteran coach instead of Robert Saleh? No, what does his career look like? So I think a lot of that has to be taken into account as well. But it's still at the end of the day, it's a crapshoot. It's a hard position to pick for. You never really know what you're going to get.
And to your point, I saw it firsthand. I saw what Tua Tagovailoa looked like with Brian Flores and what he looks like with Mike McDaniel, right? And then with
Two
Tyreek Hill.
different two different things.
It's a completely different quarterback, right? Like the whole narrative on him. If we go pull up our podcast from 2 years ago, how we talked about Tua is way different than now. You know what I mean? So it's like it's kind of is what it is at this point. So I just thought that was interesting that Kurt Warner brought that up, and we're getting around combine time this week, so we're gonna be hearing a lot of talk about trying to tear down Caleb Williams and Drake May and these guys, and we think we got a handle on it, but just no, pay attention to, like Trey said, where the person gets drafted to. Who's their OC? Do they have a history of development quarterbacks? We've talked about this, Trey. If I'm Caleb Williams, I definitely don't want to go to the Bears. I know I'm probably going to go to the Bears, but like they're the only team in probably the history that has never produced a great quarterback in their entire history, and they're one of the oldest teams ever. So just little things like that. Maybe this would be different because he's the guy that can overcome a lot of stuff, but we'll see. So interesting. We got a lot to get into. So, but I want to thank everybody so much for again tuning in and joining us. Again, we're on Apple, Spotify, all the good stuff. Like and subscribe to us. We got some special guests coming. We haven't had them on in a while, so I'm excited to have that. So tune in for that as well. I'll drop some shorts for you guys. We'll maybe even drop a poll about the Cam Newton fight. And I will swing it to Trey.
Again, like you said, thank you so much for joining us today. We really do appreciate it. I hope everybody has a great week. And again, until next week, peace.